There are people in the world that love to provoke people to get an emotional reaction out of them. Especially if you're feeling happy, calm, or peaceful, it's almost like at those very moments, they get a sense of power at being able to provoke you into a negative emotional reaction. If you wind up in a relationship with a person like this, in the beginning, you still stay calm for a while. You stay calm because you don't understand exactly what's going on, why this person is provoking you. But what happens is they train you to react faster and faster. They'll be extremely negative. They'll be extremely critical. They'll be putting you down, and you're calm, right? And you're trying to understand the situation, but you're still remaining as yourself. The crazy thing is that the calmer you are, the worse they get. What will happen is eventually you will react. You're human. You can only take someone poking you enough times before you wind up reacting. And of course, as you guys know, as soon as you react is when they point the finger and they're like, oh, see? Look at you. There's something wrong with you. Why are you so upset? Why are you so angry? And suddenly they get calm. Well, what happens is, on a subconscious level, you begin to associate your reaction with the end of whatever turmoil, emotional turmoil is going on. Because they're providing you with that peace after you react. So because of that, you don't even realize it's going on a subconscious level, but because of that, you will begin reacting faster and faster and faster. And it will take less and less for the abuser to provoke you to a reaction. Understanding that, it's easy to understand how people can lose their emotional stability. In toxic relationships, the toxic person loves when this happens because you went from being an emotionally calm person, a person that's in emotional control, to someone that can admittedly recognize that your emotional control isn't the same. So the toxic person uses that to gaslight you into thinking that you have a problem. You are the problem. Forget about the fact that they're provoking you constantly. They're just staring and highlighting your reaction. So because of that, today in this video, I want to talk about how you can regain emotional control, how you can stop reacting, especially when you're dealing with a toxic person whose whole goal is to get you to react in a way that causes other people and yourself to feel that you are losing emotional control and that you have a problem. And the reason I want to talk about this is because I know what that's like. I know what it's like to go from being someone that is very laid back, very patient, being a peace seeker, someone that doesn't like to fight, to being in a relationship that is constantly provoking you into those things, to the point that I didn't recognize myself anymore. So I know what it's like, and I know the work that's needed to regain emotional control, and I'm going to share with you the things that help me. I want to help you get back to who you really are, even if there are people in your life that are constantly trying to push you outside of the bounds of your core identity. So with that in mind, let's get right into what can help you to break the cycle of reacting. In this video, I'm going to talk about 3 specific things. Obviously, it's not an all-inclusive list, but these are 3 things that are really necessary in order for you to get back to who you really are. The first thing that's needed is space. Space between the provoker that's provoking you and your response. When we're reacting, it's instantaneous. There's no thought. There's no reflection. It's impulsive. It becomes an automatic response, which is what the toxic person wants you to do. The reason we react in this manner is because the person that's provoking you, well, their words are touching on an inner wound. And think about this physically. How do you respond when someone touches an open wound on your arm, let's say? Isn't it instantaneous and without thought? Because it's painful. And you need to do whatever you need to do to protect that wound. Well, it's the same thing emotionally. The reason we react so strongly is because their words are poking an inner wound. So in order to create space for us to be able to respond instead of react, in order for you to get back to the calm, laid-back person you were, you have to retrain your nervous system. The easiest and fastest way to do that is with diaphragmatic breathing. That's the brake on your nervous system, and that's what's going to allow you to have space to consider the situation with thought, awareness, and emotional control. Don't wait until you're being provoked to start calming your nervous system. This is something that you should be doing starting now. When you first wake up, doing 2 to 3 diaphragmatic breaths. Before you eat is another good time to do 2 or 3 diaphragmatic breaths if you feel your anxiety raising for any reason, and before you go to sleep. That way, your nervous system learns to be calm. That way you're retraining your nervous system to be calm because the toxic person has been training it to be out of control. And obviously, when they're provoking you is the moment that you want to do that so that you can have that space to have thought and awareness. The second thing that's needed is there's a need to heal the inner wounds that the toxic person is poking. Think about what I said regarding someone touching your physical wound if it's not healed. Obviously, you react instantaneously because it hurts. It's normal. But if that wound on your arm is healed and someone touches your arm, it doesn't do anything to you. Someone can touch it all they want and you're not going to feel any pain. So in order to heal the emotional wound so that when the toxic person is provoking you by constantly touching that wound, you need to bring it into your conscious awareness. The wound that they're touching is usually a limiting belief, such as, I'm a bad person, I'm unlovable, I'm not enough. Think about it. If you were to do 9 out of the 10 things you were supposed to do in any given day, and the toxic person criticizes you for the one thing you didn't, what is that making you feel? Obviously, it's making you feel not appreciated. It's also making you feel like they never see your worth, like you're never enough. And the reason it's so painful is because that wound is probably a wound from childhood. When the toxic person tries to poke them, obviously we're not going to like it, but we are going to be in a better place inside so as to handle it in a way where we are responding instead of reacting. So taking time to examine any limiting beliefs that are inside of you, any old wounds that need to be healed, and doing the inner work to heal them is going to put you in a better place emotionally so as to respond and not react. The third thing that's needed is preparation. Toxic people, especially malignant narcissists, aren't going to change. They love to provoke. They love to incite people to anger. They love to steal your shine, stamp out your happiness, or at least try. They won't change, but the good news is that you can. Having something prepared that you can say when they engage in their toxic behaviors will help you to stay grounded. If they criticize you, touching the wound that you're not enough, you can say something like, well, thanks for sharing your opinion. You're allowed to see it that way if you want. If they try to stamp out your happiness, let's say you're drinking a cup of coffee and they make you feel like you're doing something wrong or bad because you should be doing something else. Toxic people love to make you feel like you should be doing for them at the very moment that you're simply relaxing or enjoying something. What they're really implying is that you don't matter, or being peaceful and calm isn't for you. You're not allowed to relax. Make you feel like you are a human doing instead of a human being. Rather than allowing them to taint your positive mood with their own stress and negativity, you can acknowledge what they say without losing your inner peace. You can say something like, I'll get to that in a minute, or thanks for letting me know. I hear you. Don't worry, it'll get done. And then turn your attention back to enjoying the moment. Use your inner dialogue to stay grounded. If they use projection to provoke you by claiming that you're doing something that they're doing, rather than defend yourself, rather than show evidence to someone that really doesn't want evidence. Remember, it's not about them having evidence. It's about them getting you to react. The bottom line is that's all they care about. So when they do that and they accuse you of something that's not true, rather than getting sucked into the drama battle, you can simply say, that's an interesting observation. Thanks for sharing your view with me. For example, if they say, you're so competitive, you can say, really? Am I? I guess I am. Maybe you're right. In other words, instead of feeling like you need to prove to them your reality, you can just hold on to it in the confinements of your mind. You don't need them to agree with you in order for you to hold on to your reality. So those are 3 tips that can help you to gain the emotional control that the toxic person has been manipulating. They take practice, so be patient with yourself. And remember, the sad truth is that malignant narcissists want you to react. They want you to have no emotional control so that they can try to convince you and everyone else that you're crazy and that all the problems are your fault. So it's important for you to regain your emotional control and break out of the manipulation cycle that you've been stuck in if you've been reacting to them when they're provoking you. And if you feel you need further assistance on overcoming complex PTSD, make sure you check out the 3-month Breakthrough CPTSD workshop that is set to begin in August.